Oh, hey there. Let me be clear. When seconds count, the police are just minutes away. Okay? Now, when I was young, I believed in the police and the police force and all these things. Okay? And I know that I'm going to get a lot of hatred for this. And I want to start by saying I realize there are some good cops. Okay, I realize that. I also realize that there are a lot of people with good intentions, but the system is a mess, so it's not necessarily their fault. However, in my experience, let me tell you a few things on why I don't call the police and why I won't call the police. There could be a pile of dead bodies, and I'd be like, nope, not calling the cops. There could be, I don't know, 100 tons of meth sitting somewhere. I'd be like, I didn't see anything. Like, I do not like them. Now, let me tell you why, okay? And I know police officers, and please don't hate on me because as a person, I like you, and there are some that I'm like, I respect you a lot, okay? Others, less. Now, not that I don't love you as a person, I'm just saying. Here's been my experience. I've been robbed at gunpoint and at knife point probably 8 or 10 times now. I've gone to the police and said, you know, this happened. I've had my house broken into, I can't tell you how many times. I've had businesses and flip houses broken into a lot, okay? And they never show up. Okay, there was a time I was robbed at gunpoint 6 different times within a matter of months, okay? I knew who was doing it. And we told the police who was doing it. There was a woman and a child in the house, and they were like, well, that's your opinion. I'm like, no, it's not my opinion. There's witnesses here. And they're like, we're basically not going to do anything about it. And I was like, surely you're kidding me, right? Like, surely you're going to do, you're at least going to go talk to them. And they're like, no. I had an air compressor. I walked inside. Okay, on that one, though, the fastest that they got there when I called 911, the fastest was 6 hours. Sometimes they just never showed up at all. That was the fastest that they showed up, was 6 hours for armed robbery with a woman and a child involved. And I'm like, so whenever people are like, oh, just have the cops deal with it, I'm like, I would rather, like, I might as well just, I don't know, be like, call up a gopher in the yard and be like, hey, come solve my problem. Like, no thanks, I'll just deal with it myself. I'm a grown man, I'm strong, I'm convincing. You come into my house, there's gonna be a problem, okay? And I'm gonna deal with it. But I'm not gonna call the cops about it. So be warned ahead of time, I'm not gonna call the cops. Me and you are gonna have a scuffle, but that's gonna be the end of it. And then you're gonna leave and be like, I was a mistake. I'll be like, yeah, it really was. Love you. Anyway, I brought my air compressor. I was building a house. I brought my air compressor across the street to plug it in and charge it up. This was before I realized you could get temporary power. It was an apartment complex. I walked inside to get the power brought outside. I walked back outside. There were some people working on their car right there. They were there before, they were there after. And in 90 seconds, this air compressor was missing. And I asked them, where's the air compressor? We don't know. So I called the cops. The cops would not question the people that were outside. I'm like, they saw it, they had to see it. There's no way they could not see it. Like, I walked past them, I put it right in front of them, I walked inside for 90 seconds, I walked back outside and it was gone, and they were there before and they were there after. At least ask them. They're like, we can't ask them. And I'm like, this is very frustrating. I can't tell you how many times I have personally witnessed somebody do something horrible, okay? Keep in mind, I've known people that have shot people. I've known people that have done massive amounts of drugs, that are drug dealers. I know people who've done basically every crime you can possibly commit. I've known those people. And sometimes somebody gets, like, I don't know, the remnant of some dust of some substance on them and they serve 10 years. Sometimes. And sometimes they are just a revolving door of getting arrested 10 times a year and nothing ever happens. They like sit it out. They're like, meh, whatever. And basically this is the conclusion I've come to. The justice system is not based on justice, it is based on money. And so I just remove myself from it completely. I'm like, whatever. If a police officer comes up to me, I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna give them what they need. I'm gonna give them my ID or whatever. I'm gonna answer their questions. I keep my hands out of my pockets because I've made that mistake before. And I'm gonna answer their questions, right? I'm gonna try to be helpful. But at the end of the day, I expect literally nothing, okay? Also, and I don't know if you've noticed this when you look at me, but I have long hair. And so it's not like, well, they might treat me different. Oh no, they treat me different. They treat me like I'm the criminal every single time. I haven't had one time where I had an encounter with the police, even when I was calling them, where they did not treat me like I was the criminal. I don't appreciate that, okay? I'm like, look, I have been, and I'll tell them, I'm like, I got 35 years sober in July. And they're like, sober from what? Like, from everything. Huh. So what were you doing back then? I'm like, what in the, like, why are you coming at me? I'm telling you about somebody else that committed a crime. They're like, yeah, but 35 years ago, what did you do? I find it very frustrating. I was in New Orleans. I went to get breakfast. I was in a suit, okay? I was working a corporate video show. I went to get breakfast. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. McDonald's was not open. It was the only place to eat. McDonald's was not open yet. There's a bunch of people standing outside. Some guy comes up and goes, yo, man, give me your phone. I'm like, I'm not going to give you my phone. Yo, man, give me your phone. I'm like, I'm not going to give you my phone. Just, back off a little bit. And he punches me in the throat. I kept my phone, but he punches me in the throat and walks slowly away. Now, I was outnumbered, okay? There was a lot of people in a certain demographic, and he was one of those people, and I was by myself. And I was in a suit, and I was like, I just don't feel like fighting everybody right now. But as he's walking away, and I'm doing this, I see a police officer. I'm like, hey, and I try to flag him down. He looks me dead in the eye and looks ahead and keeps driving. I was like, Another one comes by on foot. I was like, hey man, that guy just assaulted me. He tried to steal my phone, and he assaulted me, and he's right there. He goes, what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, well, I mean, at least go talk to him. Like, do your job. And he goes, well, you want to file a report? I was like, I guess, but I mean, can you get him first while he's walking away slowly? Him and a snail are in a race right now. And he goes, you want to press charges? You want to file a report? I was like, I don't know. I just kind of want you to go get him. He's right there. He's 100 feet away from me. Like, could you just get him? And he goes, ugh. And he goes to his car, and he comes back, and he opens up a little book, like notepad or whatever. What's your name? And I tell him. How tall are you? I tell him. What's your address? I tell him. Let me see your ID. He writes down all of my information on a piece of paper and rips it off and hands it back to me and walks away as if that solved the problem. Okay? I think that police provide the illusion of security. I'm not saying defund the police. I'm not saying I hate them. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just saying they provide the illusion of security. And in my experience, okay, I've had nothing but bad experiences, okay, where they won't do anything to help. They accuse me of being the bad person. They treat me horribly. They don't follow up well. Whatever detective, I call them back later and they go, you did what? Who is this? I've never met you. I'm like, it's 2 hours ago. I go, no, I think that file's been lost. I'm just like, okay. And so I just realized, like, I'm going to have to learn how to deal with this. I'm going to have to talk to this person. I'm going to have to talk my way out of this. I'm going to have to deal with this situation in a way that is appropriate without, breaking the law. And I do find that it's very frustrating. But, like, if I'm at a mall or something and I see security, not one time in my life have I thought, this person makes me feel secure. Usually they're severely overweight, elderly, handicapped, or some other thing, and I'm just like, there's a reason why you're doing that job. And if there was an actual emergency, I would not call you. If there was an actual problem, I would not call you. And if I did, you wouldn't do anything about it, okay? I realize that police are more well-trained. I get that. I believe that a lot of times they have weapons and training and, they work out and things like that. I respect that. In my experience so far, I don't feel more secure. I feel like if you see a police officer, you should be like, thank God they're here and there won't be any problems because they'll be here for us. And the way that I actually feel is like, am I doing anything wrong? Do I have a broken taillight or something? Like, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want a ticket. I think that's a problem, okay? Maybe it's a problem with my heart, but that's my experience. And so am I going to call the police? Never.